Well, it's official. On Thursday, June 5th, the Indiana Pacers will face the OKC Thunder in the finals for their first final appearance in over 25 years. Last time the Indiana Pacers were on a stage like this, they were going up against the Los Angeles Lakers led by Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. And although the OKC Thunder aren't the level of threat that Kobe Bryant and the Shaq-led Lakers team is, this is still a pretty big task for Indiana Pacers team coming off of a big win against the New York Knicks in Game 6. Now, before I get too deep in the video, I want to tell everybody to make sure they leave a like on this video just because I know you're going to enjoy it. And make sure you subscribe to the channel because if you enjoyed this video, you're going to enjoy the rest of my videos and you're going to enjoy what I have planned after the finals. However, that's all I have for now. Let's get right back into the video. Now, the Pacers have come a very, very long way. Just a year ago, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals facing a very talented Celtics team that they would end up losing 2-7. However, people didn't even expect them to push the Celtics to 7, and after this series, a lot of people didn't really expect Indiana to get back to the finals or even the conference finals. But the fact that they're in the finals is quite insane. I mean, yeah, we knew they had a Tyrese Halliburton and a Pascal Siakam and a Miles Turner. However, a lot of people assumed that Tyrese Halliburton wasn't capable of leading a team to the finals. A lot of people didn't think Miles Turner was going to be there that long because maybe they needed somebody else to kind of take them over the edge. However, coming to where they are now, we see that all these people were wrong, but they weren't wrong for thinking this. They were in the same conference as a Boston Celtics who had just won the championship the year before, and a Cleveland Cavaliers team featuring two of the top guards in the East and one of the best benches in the entire NBA. So it wasn't too far-fetched to say that the Pacers couldn't make it back to the conference finals. However, they get into the playoffs and they start off on fire. The first round series that they have, they play really well, and Tyrese comes out and he shows out. Then it's the next series versus Cavaliers, one that a lot of people thought they were going to lose. But Game 1, Tyrese Halliburton comes out and he puts on a show. And they steal Game 1 in Cleveland. But people are like it's the Cleveland Cavaliers. However, the Cavs will get hit with a nasty injury bug. Now, this isn't a detriment to Indiana because they handle their business. You can only play the team that is in front of you. And that's simply what they did. They ended up beating the Cavs in Game 2, and they ended up winning the series in 5. However, unfortunately for Indiana, going into this series, it has a lot of people seeing them as a heavy underdog, and rightfully so. They're going up against the OKC Thunder, and the OKC Thunder, I mean, what more can I say about them? They won a league-high 68 games in the season. They've been dominant throughout the entire playoffs with the exception for the series against Denver, and they look like the clear favorite. They have the MVP of the league in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They have another supporting star in J-Dub who was all-defense and all-NBA, and he was an all-star. And they have Chet, Isaiah Hartenstein, Lou Dort, and all these other supporting pieces that make up one of the best rosters in the entire NBA. And on top of that, they have one of the best coaches in the entire NBA as well, and Coach Mark Daigneault, who has been phenomenal with leading this team throughout the playoffs and throughout the entire season, despite how young they are. And this Thunder team is starting to get a little scary because coming into the playoffs and coming to the season, a lot of people assume that the Thunder weren't ready. They were still too young. They still didn't have enough experience. Sure, they had been to the postseason the year beforehand, but coming in this year, there were just more teams in the West that people would have thought the Thunder were going to have to look out for. So they go through the regular season and they just dominate. They're dominant. They have one of the best offenses in the entire NBA. They are not in any close games. They are blowing everyone out. They have one of the best defenses in the NBA. So they don't really have a whole lot of adversity. But they would face some adversity in round 2 versus the Denver Nuggets, where the Nuggets were able to push them to 7 games behind Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon. But it was in this series, in my opinion, around like Game 5, where OKC seemed to put it together and seemed to take what I viewed as a next step. And that is what led them to eventually win this series and win the following series versus the Timberwolves in the conference finals. And now they've been at home waiting for the winner of the East, who are the Pacers, to come and play them. And everybody's assuming that this series is going to be easily won by the OKC Thunder. You know, I've seen a lot of people say OKC is going to win in 5. Some people are saying OKC is going to win in 4. And what I have not seen is anybody suggest that the Pacers can win this series. And I can't blame them for this level of thinking. I mean, I just explained to you what OKC is and what they have accomplished so far. However, I think it would be kind of disingenuous for us to count out the Indiana Pacers just so easily. I mean, we've seen what they did against the Knicks. We've seen what they did against the Cavs. We have seen the performances they have been putting up ever since January. I mean, for goodness sake, the Indiana Pacers have been one of the hottest teams in the NBA since January, and that has carried them into the postseason. So I don't think we should count them out against OKC, and I don't think OKC has as clear of an advantage over Indiana as a lot of people may assume. Indiana has been very impressive this playoffs, and they have a lot of things that could give OKC some trouble. Think about OKC's path so far to the finals. They played the Grizzlies in round one. Versus the Grizzlies, the only player you really had to worry about was Ja Morant, and even then, Ja Morant got injured throughout the series, unfortunately, and we all knew how it was going to go from there. But OKC was able to focus in on Ja, and knowing that none of his other teammates could really knock down shots or be a real threat on the court, it made it really easy for the Thunder to defend him. Then you go into the second round versus Denver, where they faced some real problems. Why? Because although you had Nikola Jokic, who really kind of had a okay series for his standards, even though he played phenomenal, just for his standards with him being a superstar or former MVP, it was okay. But the big reason why Denver was able to push them to 7 games was because it wasn't just Jokic showing up. Like I said, Aaron Gordon had a huge series. Julian Strawther had a game in there. Jamal Murray was showing up for them. Michael Porter Jr., even though he finished the series very subpar, he had some games where he was making his shots, as well as all the other pieces on that Denver team. But then you go into the conference finals where you face Minnesota Timberwolves, and you have Ant Edwards, who was the real only threat on that Timberwolves team. He was the only person who was able to really give them pressure with the ball in his hands when it came to driving to the rim. This allowed OKC to play a very aggressive defense where they were rotating and overcommitting on Ant. And because Ant's teammates weren't really hitting shots, and one of the only games where they did hit shots, they won, and the other one, Ant didn't really play so well because of this pressure, we see OKC get rid of these teams quite easily. Now, taking that to the Pacers are led by Tyrese Haliburton. He's a lead guard for this Pacers team, and he has the ball in his hands a lot. However, the Pacers have people who can make shots, and Tyrese is not the only ball handler on this team. Yes, you have Tyrese Haliburton, who makes a lot of plays with the ball in his hands. However, you also have a Pascal Siakam. You also have an Andrew Nembhard who can handle the ball and make good plays for this Pacers team, who has also been phenomenal all playoffs long. This could definitely give OKC some trouble and not allow them to be able to play these passing lanes as aggressively and play Tyrese or Pascal, or whoever has the ball in their hands, very hard. Because everybody on the court has been a threat for the Pacers. Aaron Nesmith, Andrew Nembhard, Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam, Bennedict Mathurin even started to get hot at the end of that Knicks series. The Pacers have so many weapons to where OKC is not going to really be able to hone in on one singular player. Especially with the Pacers, a lot of their game being predicated on driving, penetrating to the paint, and passing the ball, and the shooters on the outside making their shots. And with the Pacers being the hottest team from outside throughout the entire playoffs, this could give a lot of trouble to the OKC Thunder and not allow this to be as much of a cakewalk as a lot of people might assume. And this can keep the OKC defense very honest. Another thing that the Pacers are really good at is they don't really turn the ball over. A lot of their possessions go into turnovers where they just give the ball to other team. Something that we saw the Timberwolves struggle with a lot, and something that we've seen really every other team, the Nuggets and the Grizzlies, struggle a lot throughout the playoffs. The Pacers don't really have this type of issue. Most of their possessions end in the shot. That way, worst case scenario, they get a shot, they get it up on the boards, and they can get back just in time. OKC, their defense is really good. They're really good at forcing turnovers. That's why they are marked as one of the best defenses throughout the entire NBA. However, the Pacers have 2 high IQ guards who are really smart with the ball in their hands. Now, OKC is going to have some pressure that's inevitably going to get to Tyrese Haliburton and Andrew Nembhard. I mean, we saw one of the reasons why the Pacers lost that Game 5 versus the Knicks back in the Garden was because the Knicks started to defend Tyrese Haliburton at the half-court line, or even when he was bringing the ball up, versus waiting until he crossed half-court to where he could settle in. Thunder are definitely going to pressure him. They're going to have Alex Caruso or Casey Wall in his face. They're going to do the same thing with Andrew Nembhard. So inevitably, that's going to create some type of struggle for the Pacers. However, Tyrese Haliburton and Andrew Nembhard are 2 very trustworthy people. And on top of that, Rick Carlisle is one of the best coaches in the entire game at scheming up things. I mean, this isn't his first go-around in the finals. This isn't his first go-around against a team that a lot of people expect for him to lose to. I think Rick Carlisle is more equipped to scheme up some stuff and expose the Thunder in some ways to make this series not as easy as a cakewalk for the Thunder. With that being said, though, the Thunder have just been phenomenal to playoff run. There's nothing that I could really say in this video that you aren't going to already know about the Thunder. I mean, I said it all in the past, and I think in this finals, they have a lot of advantages. They have the best player in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They have the better personnel in their depth and their bench and their overall team. They have the better, well, I'm going to say the better supporting star, but they have an equal supporting star. They just have a better pieces on that roster, and they match up really well against the Pacers. And there are something that the Pacers honestly probably have not seen throughout this playoffs. And they're going to be very tough, and they have a certain level of confidence going into this finals that is really scary. And I think that, like I said earlier, the Thunder have kind of figured out and flipped the switch. Yes, they're young, but that's the only thing you can really hold against them. Their lack of experience in their youth. But a team that's young, but also mature and understands the situation and is looking as good as the Thunder look, they're dang near unstoppable knowing all of this. Which is why, inevitably, I have the Thunder beating the Pacers in the NBA Finals and capturing that NBA title. Now, with that being said, I don't think this is just going to be a cakewalk for the OKC Thunder. I mean, I can see this series going to 7 games, but I can also see the series going to 5 games. But why I'm leaning at 6 is because of everything I just mentioned. The Pacers are able to match up against OKC. I just think OKC is a better team. OKC has the confidence and they figured it out and they're young. However, the Pacers can play and they can run with the OKC. They're one of the fastest teams in the NBA. They're really smart. They have a really smart head coach. And all of these things can make you competitive and give the OKC Thunder a very hard time of playing against you. You keep the defense honest. You can do a lot of things to kind of challenge these young players, give them some looks they've never seen before. But with all that being said, this is just my opinion. I have the Thunder winning in 6 games. But let me know how you feel in the comments. Do you have a different opinion from mine? Do you believe the same thing? Let me know down below. Make sure you like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel, because if you enjoyed this one, you're going to enjoy the rest of my videos. But that's all I have for now. And until next time, peace.